All right, pastors and ministry leaders, we've already talked about buying into the system, the resources online for making disciples. And then we talked about building up that basic infrastructure in your church. And in this last lesson, and there's a lot more to learn, and you can learn that in the related resources below. But in this last lesson for pastor training, we're going to get really practical, and we're going to talk about making the pastoral handoff. Now, the pastoral handoff is where you as a pastor or a leader, or maybe your service leaders or your other sort of key leaders, your upfront leaders at church, it's where you sort of take your pastoral leadership and your pastoral mantle and authority, and you use that and you hand off people to, parents and small group leaders and mentors. See, the idea here is to leverage your leadership. Okay, chances are good that people are going to come up to you after a sermon or after a service, and they're going to have a prayer need, they're going to have they're going to want to connect, they're going to want to take the next step. So if that's going to happen, you need to have great clarity in your mind about the role you play, the central role you play in promoting this discipleship culture and connecting those people to the proper people in your infrastructure. Okay, so for example, somebody comes up to you after a service and they, tears in their eyes and they need some marriage help. Okay, if you try to just help every person that comes up, you're just going to be bogged down, and you're not going to be doing that Ephesians 4 thing. You're going to be doing all the ministry, and nobody else is going to get in the game. If you've raised up mentors and marriage mentors, you can pray with that person, and then you can say, listen, can I connect you to a marriage mentor that I've trained? They're ready to help you. They're really good at it. And you can leverage your leadership and make that connection. See, the point is that you can be the bridge. Okay, so you can be the connector, the bridge from just the idea of the church, the institution of the church, because you're the pastor and they view you like that. You can be the bridge and connect them to that individual person that can help. Now, a lot of times, your pastoral heart is going to say, hey, I'll meet with you, I'll sit down with you. You don't want to be impersonal. So if you do have that pastoral care appointment, that first meeting, that's fine if you have one meeting. But in your mind, especially if you feel overwhelmed or if your church is getting bigger and bigger, you shouldn't think that you're going to just do all of the counseling. If you have that one meeting, you need to think of it like this. This meeting, if I'm going to meet them for coffee on a Tuesday, if I'm going to meet them on Wednesday night, this meeting, my whole point is to be the bridge and connect them to somebody in our infrastructure, one of the mentors, a marriage mentor, or even just a small group. Now, in that case, I encourage you to use the 7-point agenda. So we're talking about this pastoral care meeting. You connected with somebody and they really wanted to meet with the pastor. That's fine. You don't have to do this meeting if you've got mentors and marriage mentors and small group leaders up front making their own connections. But sometimes you as a pastor, you have to leverage, especially at the beginning when you're rolling this out, you have to leverage your leadership role into these bridging experiences and connections. And so if you say, yeah, let's meet this week, use this simple 7-point agenda to make sure that you're connecting them. Number 1, open with prayer. So there you are. You're sitting with this couple. You're being pastoral. You're being loving. You want to model a heart after people. And you open with prayer. Real simple. Number 2, explain your role as pastor. Because a lot of people don't understand this, but your role as pastor in a church with a discipleship culture isn't to do all the ministry. Your role is to connect them to people who can help them. People that you've trained, but people who have the time and the ability to really help them. Number 3, you might want to explain a little bit about how mentoring in small groups work and explain how we use the tools online and all that kind of stuff. So you're sort of marketing and you're promoting this whole idea because it's probably new to them. Number 4, sitting right there with this couple, now you're getting to know them a little bit and ask them just to list some topics that they would be interested in talking about. The things on their heart, the things that they came to pray with you about. If it's appropriate, a lot of times in marriage situations, this is appropriate. Say, hey, what are some things that you would like to talk about in the weeks and months ahead as we really try to help you out and as this mentor tries to help you out? sort of start building that preliminary list and showing them that you care about it and that we have the resources to help them with it. Okay, number 5, briefly, and I mean briefly, share some of your own pastoral wisdom, if necessary, on some of these topics. Again, you're not just making a list. As you're listening to them, you're giving them some bits and pieces and a little wisdom, maybe a scripture verse. Show them that you're listening and that you care. But don't try to fix everything in this first meeting. That's not the point. Remember, the point is you're trying to bridge them to your discipleship infrastructure. And then number 6, you can ask if they have, any other questions or special requests. Again, be very pastoral. You're starting to shut the meeting down. This whole meeting should take no more than an hour. Because again, you're not trying to give them the wrong idea. You are not there to be their personal pastor. If that's what they think you are, then if you give them the indication that that's what you'll be for them, then you're going to confuse them and you're not going to be able to bridge them to your discipleship culture. And you're going to stress yourself out just like Moses was stressed out because you're going to be doing all of the work. So ask if they have any questions or special requests. And then number 7, close with prayer. Be pastoral. Pastors do that. Pray for them, close with prayer, and then let them know as they go, hey, listen, I'm going to connect you either to that mentor, that marriage mentor, that small group, and then make sure that you follow up, make that connection. Because listen, the whole point to the pastoral handoff is that you're leveraging your position of authority in the church. You're validating this idea of small groups and mentoring. You're making the connection to your leaders, your mentors, your group leaders, and then you're stepping out and you're letting those people do the ministry. And you now are spurring on a discipleship culture. Again, make sure that everyone's using the tools and everyone's on the same page and it's very simple and very reproducible. And then make sure to follow up after the meeting with the mentor, the group leader, whoever. Make sure that they're now making that call and being pastoral and extending that and getting involved in that person's life or in that couple's life and really coming alongside them to help them pursue God. Because remember, that's what all of this is about. It's about creating a discipleship culture, helping people pursue God, getting everyone involved in that so that everyone can go full circle and trust Jesus in their life on a regular basis, to start their pursuit of God and honor God in their life as a Christian on a regular basis, and then help others get in the game and become a group leader, become a mentor, become a parent who is helping their kids. And so this right here, this is a discipleship culture. And this is what all of our tools are about. So use those resources below to talk about this with your pastoral team. And when you're done with this series, go on and take some of those other training series and some of the other series together in our library and begin to roll out this culture of discipleship in your church or ministry.